Whopper, 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 Whopper. Come on down to Burger King. One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Whopper, 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 Whopper. Stick it in your goddamn mouth. Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Burger King Boy Crypto. I just clocked out, got onto the show. I had to I put it the end of the chat there. I had to clean behind the fryer. My boss made me stay behind on my shift tonight, and not fun. But anyway, got out of there on time, and I'm over here now. So welcome in to all of you. We have Crypto Ewok here with me as well, my friend and co-host, and a lot of people already getting into the chat. I'm kind of surprised. I guess you guys didn't hear that crypto's dead, and you should be finding something else to do. But here you are still. You just keep showing up. Hexalot, Valiant Low Key, Sunlight Live, Hammy 2289, Oscar M 2446, DJ Moo Boy, of course, Don Swan. I think I already said Valiant Low Key. Crypto 7 chiming into the top of the show. Duke of Booze, welcome into you. And our first viewer tonight, Wall to Wall TV. So he's in the chat tonight. So that should be fun. So Eddie, welcome to you as well. We appreciate all of you guys being here. However painful it may be to continue to be kicked in the nuts every single day. We're going to talk about, hey, is the ProveX launch imminent? We saw a website in beta, it looked like, popped up over the weekend. Many people were like, hey, caution, we don't know what this is. Let's wait and see. It does look like Richard Hart did confirm, of course, that ProveX is live in beta. So something to be intrigued by anyway, as the prices of everything in crypto continue to be stagnant, but we'll see how that goes. We'll get into that tonight. So I'd love to hear from all of you guys. Betty Davis, Hex Girl, Philly, welcome in. Wow, a lot of people pouring in. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like on the way in. We appreciate you being here. Ewok, how you feeling on this almost Valentine's Day? Now, we're all, of course, single. We're trying to get some extra cash on the side here at our fast food jobs to afford, buying a subscription to a girl's feet pictures on OnlyFans. But how are you doing tonight, Ewok?
Oh, I'm good. Hanging in there, keeping busy with work. Haven't looked at my portfolio in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I'm sure it's not good. And all we can do is just keep hanging in there. Other than that, doing well, trying to stay warm. It is winter time, and ready for the white stuff on the ground to go away and get nice out.
Yeah, actually had a couple of quote unquote warm days here recently. So that's kind of nice, but not quite out of the woods yet. So let's just kind of get right into it tonight. So where is Bitcoin? Where is Ethereum? So today, we saw some positive price action over the course of the last week on Bitcoin, which inspired some hope for the bulls. Like, hey, well, 70K or around that point, basically the former all-time high from the year 2021. Will that be the level of support? It's turned out to be kind of a key area here. I can't even believe that Bitcoin, you forget how freaking volatile it's been here, and you're looking at it now on the chart. But over the last couple of weeks, whenever we broke 80 and went into the high 70s, hung around this, mid to high 70s for a week, then all of a sudden, boom, dip below the 70s. Last week, the big capitulation candle that went down to like 58, 59K. And really since then, we've settled in the mid 60s to 70K range. there was a rally up over 70K. And again, a key area because a lot of people are saying, hey, this is bull market support from a couple of years ago. There's a lot of price history here. Maybe we bought them right here. Famous last words. I don't think any of us are feeling safe saying anything like that with how horrible the last 5 years have been. But yeah, it's hanging out here in the mid 60s. Again, most people obviously are calling for the same old Bitcoin cycle this year, that in Q4 of this year, we'll probably see Bitcoin at 35K. That's where most people are at. I mean, but there is a range. I mean, I think right now everybody's got the 200 weekly moving average on, they're planning for that. Everybody is planning for it to get to that. I think right now that sits in the mid to low 50s. So that's where we're looking at for that. So everybody is assuming that that's going to happen. And they've all been right for the last few years. So it probably will. But yeah, it's been very volatile recently. Of course, this cycle has been very odd overall. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But Bitcoin hanging out there right now. We have ETH below 2K. We are hoping that it's going to make this its level of support, and how bullish it would be for ETH that if Bitcoin continues to just kind of bleed out right here or just stay stagnant at this price, if ETH can be a magnet towards 2K, it's gone down to like 1,800 or probably go down to 1,400, who knows? But it's still hanging out right around that region. It would be awesome if it did for once surprise us with something good or strong looking from Ethereum, but that remains to be seen. But it is still hanging around 2K. So what do you make of where we're at, Ewok? Obviously, a lot of people consider this to be uncharted territory still. The way this cycle ended, really no blow off top from any asset in crypto. What do you think of where we're at right now?
Yeah. So the one thing I was looking at earlier that we never really talked about even being a possibility. Let's go back to the daily chart because I did pull up the weekly there to see that 200 week moving average, and you're right, it is sitting right about 58,000 currently anyway. But let's go back to the daily here and go back into the last cycle, right? So the last cycle when it topped, and we haven't really discussed this probability happening again, but it did that double top, right? It hit that 65,000 whenever Richard called the top, and then it came back and made a little bit of a higher high up to about 67. We haven't talked about that being a possibility this cycle where we do get another one of those double tops. It is playing out very similar. If you look at the structure that's coming down, it looks a lot like the first dip here. Unfortunately, it doesn't show that on the pi cycle indicator that has been right the last every cycle so far. We weren't even close. Now it did hit the pi cycle at the $65,000 top, but that was after a major run up. Now we didn't get the major run up; it was more of an extended run up. But we haven't discussed the possibility of that double top either. So, again, this structure is looking very similar to what happened back here in April, May of 2021 before the actual November top. So I don't know. There is that possibility of it repeating and getting back up into here for a little bit. If we can find some sort of support or something turns it around. The one thing I saw earlier was that the founder of SafeMoon was arrested. And, the last couple times, I want to share this little chart here real quick. The last several times that there were founders arrested, can you see that? Am I sharing?
Yeah.
So, you had Do Kwon and SBF here, and then it took off, and CZ was mixed in there too. Now we've got this one. So, I just thought this was funny how when you see a founder get arrested, things turn around pretty quickly. So I don't know if that's any kind of indication. I try to keep it positive, right? So if there's any positivity to come out of that, we could definitely use another one of these run-ups here. So anyway, back to the chart. Ethereum just looks terrible. I mean, there is nothing really supporting it as far as I can see here. You did have that weird long capitulation event. Then it got bought right back up immediately. So somebody somewhere was defending this floor here at about 1700. Same for Bitcoin at about 58 or 59, whatever it was. Obviously those are very heavily tied together on the trading pairs, so they move very closely. But yeah, this, when you look at the weekly candle as far as Ethereum goes, I mean, you're just looking at 4 huge red months. And when it looks like that, without any kind of support in sight, it doesn't look good. So,
Right.
You said you wanted to look at the others.
Well, that's whenever we get to talking about good things here. So let's finish off, sitting around in our own poop here about everything that's bad. So before we do look at that and try to give some people some copium, what do you, I guess, just time frame? I mean, again, because I said, I mean, we kind of are in these. I know all the 4-year cycle people are like, no, we're not in uncharted waters. It's actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and you're all wrong. But what do you think here? I mean, what do you think for this year, Ewok? Like, are you, oh, yeah, it's just a consolidation and a continuation of the bull market, and, everything will be good by the end of this year? It's just a recovery year. Is it exactly what, 4-year cycle bros basically think? I guess, what do you think of that, and where Ethereum or alts could go against Bitcoin? And then we'll look at those couple charts. How about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everything I've thought has been wrong completely. We haven't had an alt season. It never happened. So why? That's the big question that I keep asking myself is, why? What happened? What's going on? Is it really that much manipulation of these bigger people? Because every time I turn around, I hear somebody say, these guys that have lots of money are talking about tokenizing all assets. They want them on the blockchain, apparently. So it makes you wonder what is really going on. Why, being said that Ethereum would be the number one choice probably to do that and to have that type of scalability. Why does it look like shit? It's just so it's just hard to figure out. So I really don't know what to expect. I have to believe that there is some sort of turnaround coming. Like I don't believe that this is a normal 4-year cycle, because it didn't do that. I mean, yeah, maybe Bitcoin ran up, but do you really think that it went from 69 to, what was the top? It was 120 something. Yeah, I mean, so you got
it didn't
one
even 2x. Yeah.
It didn't even 2x. Now, the speculation of, yes, it's in its S curve, all that good stuff, which, we'll talk about that later, but it doesn't make any sense, right? And again, when things, I think, become too predictable is when it has to change, right? Because then everybody would be on the same page, everybody would be buying at the same time, retail would have been in, and we would be looking for a top. But that really just, again, that didn't happen. So I don't know what to think. I don't even know at this point to see anything that changes my mind that this isn't coming down. I'm hoping for some sort of reversal here or support. If they are manipulating it, I don't know how far they'll let it go, because then it loses a lot of trust, right? You've got institutional people that have now come into Bitcoin, and they see it drop from 120 down to 40 in their retirement funds. You know what I mean? I just, how far do they let it go? And, I guess that's the big question. I mean, we went from 67 or 69,000 down to about 15. So, if you really look at this that way and you say, well, 126,000, whatever, I'm thinking what, down to 30, 40 as a bottom? Do you let it go that low? Or are they just really manipulating it to buy more? It's just that it's that question. You really have to kind of dig into what the companies like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, what are they doing?
Mhm.
And I wish I had more of an inside track to know, are they actually buying right now and suppressing the price? Are they coordinated? I mean, because when you look at then gold and you saw that coordinated attack, and you see these things do not happen like that
Right.
naturally.
Not at all. Especially those, the
Yeah,
metal.
especially gold and silver. And so it just you have to just sit back and be like, what are they doing? What's going on? And this is not normal behavior. This is not anything um organic at all. So yeah, it just raises a big question of what's going to happen next. And I think that's really where they want you. Obviously, they don't want people to know what's going on, and they've succeeded in doing that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does you would think that somebody somewhere is buying Ethereum. I mean, you would definitely think that these people are
Yeah.
buying Ethereum at this point. Obviously, Tom Lee's been buying it all the way down from 4,000 on down, basically, and I think has 3% of the supply at this point or something
Hmm.
like that. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, it's seen better days, but you would think it would turn around here at some point. But yeah, let's look at what you were talking about. Now, this is pretty miraculous. You would think that maybe this is a sign of good things to come, but there's been so many of those over the last few years, and nothing good's come. So, but we'll take a look at it anyway and try to look at it through an optimistic view. And that is this others versus BTC chart, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's essentially, I think it eliminates the top 10 tokens. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
include Ethereum, it excludes the stable coins. So it's essentially the altcoin index, like all of altcoins versus Bitcoin, which, if you've been around in cycles before, or if you just have half a brain, you would assume that when Bitcoin plunges 50%, like it's done over the last month or two, a few months, I guess I should say, since last October, altcoins would be absolutely decimated versus it. And that's what, honestly, a lot of the big time, like Bitcoin accounts are presuming and saying and things like that. I don't think they've been paying attention because, altcoins never did anything. So we all know that. I mean, so there's not too much of a level to die from. And strangely enough, is this actually it? Because I know it's on Trading View. Is this
Hmm.
okay?
Others, yeah, this is the crypto total market cap excluding top 10
Okay.
versus Bitcoin. So
Okay. If you zoom in. Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to focus here, like on this year so far. I mean, you can see it has continued to move up. The candles just look weird.
mhm.
I don't know. I'm used to looking at it on trading, a different view on Trading View, but you can see, like, since this Bitcoin, like, this chart should be going straight down into oblivion, never coming back again, basically, you would think. But we've seen altcoins, even if this just stayed flat, which is doing a little bit more than that, even if it stayed flat, I
Mhm.
think that would be a bullish thing right now with Bitcoin dying the way that it has. But it's continued to slowly tick up against Bitcoin. So I guess I'm curious, Ewok, like, what do you think that could be a sign of? Because, like, is this just delaying the inevitable where they're walking up right now and settling in, but later this year, when Bitcoin inevitably goes to 35K, like everybody believes, then we'll get the real capitulation into, I don't know, a whole new level of hell we didn't know existed for altcoins? I mean, we're already there. So it's just very interesting to me that they're holding up and actually moving up against Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, it is strange. And even like you said, it hasn't, I don't want to say it's gone up, it is trending up. You can see this 50-week simple moving average has turned, and it is kind of pointing upward. So there is a small trend. The 200 on it is basically flat. It hasn't done anything, while the price of Bitcoin, like you said, has gone down. So it is holding, at least. Even if it's not going up, it's holding steady. It's holding very steady. And it did have this crazy green candle in here. When we had that sell off of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then it kind of bought its way back in, there was a crazy green candle here that put this stuff even higher. It went up to almost 2.89 million.
Mhm.
So, y- you know, this is promising. I mean, I think just things are holding its value much better. Um, So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can look at it any other way than promising. Maybe people have stopped dumping those tokens. If anything, they're holding and or DCAing a little bit. This kind of shows that is what I'm making of this chart anyway. So yeah, things are holding quite steady, which is impressive, I think, as far as when you look at the Bitcoin chart comparatively. Um, and Ethereum, it's gone down. So yeah, I think it's a promising view.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. It's very interesting to see. I mean, like I said, even if these were just staying flat, it would be a positive thing. But here we are actually like moving up against
Yeah.
Bitcoin right now. So I don't know. I mean, it's encouraging. I mean, I know a lot of people, like when you present this to people, they say, well, what are you talking about? Like everything's continuing to go down. Yes, I mean, in terms of USD, yeah, it does look like that, obviously. But against Bitcoin and Bitcoin's biggest negative period here over basically 2026 so far, they have actually altcoins have moved up against Bitcoin. So on that ratio, anyway, looks pretty good, and it would make sense. Again, I hate to talk about something that would make sense because nothing has for so long now, but the fact that Bitcoin did have pretty much, I mean, not a good cycle, but have time-wise and somewhat price-wise, like what people would consider an okay cycle. I mean, it didn't have any kind of blow off top. But when you don't see Ethereum do anything, it just basically triple tops its previous high from 2021. Altcoins never do anything in the aggregate. I'm not talking about this one meme or that meme, or Solana was alone good in 2024, or like just Ripple. There was not some epic type of alt season. That doesn't mean, and again, I'm not saying this either. I think there's two extremes. I don't know that we'll ever see like DeFi summer, 2020, 2021 stuff again. I don't know that we'll see exactly that again. I'm going to assume not. I think to assume it and not, get more long and assuming that's going to happen again is probably a mistake, and it's not going to happen just because of what the conditions were at that time, all of the money printing coming out of the virus, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume we're not going to see that again, but this was the antithesis of that. I mean, this cycle was nothing. I mean, nothing happened at all. So
Yeah, I mean, unless we get stimmy checks and again, things are pointed in that direction. There are here in April, there'll be people getting refunds, tax refunds. If people did harvest any losses, they'll be getting some money back. So, where will that money go? If anything positive to come in the next couple months, you have a new a new chair at the Fed coming up. So, I mean, there are a lot of positive things to look at. It's just the market isn't showing it yet, and I can't think that it's already priced in. I just don't. We would see that, right? I mean, I think it would be a little bit more obvious if those positive things were already priced in, and I just don't think they are.
Yeah. No, I am with you as well. I mean, there are certainly, you scroll up and down Twitter, you're going to see people talk about all of the positives. I'm so gun shy with everything that's happened over the last few years that when I see somebody who's like, all the signs are there for Ethereum to lead us into the bull market and all this, I'm just like, please just stop posting this stuff, please. Like, I don't want any inkling of any positivity or, Ethereum's going to rise from the ashes and wait till they see this, or this is going to 100x. Like, let's just not do that. Okay. Let's actually like get surprised again, be vulnerable here, give up. It's Bitcoin only. Altcoins are dead forever. Let's just get in that mindset so we can actually be surprised instead of everybody just assuming something good's going to happen. And then we just get punched in the face again, So
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it is interesting, though. The others chart versus BTC. Very interesting considering how weak BTC has been. So we'll continue to follow up with that here probably in the coming weeks. But if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor and hit the like button. We appreciate you being here. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's go to the PulseChain prices. We'll see where we're at right now. I know we are up off the all-time lows that were just set, I don't know, like a week ago or something like that. But again, as long as Bitcoin and Ethereum are where they're at right now, and the first half hour of the show is really the most important at looking at the overall crypto market space, then it's going to take time for PulseChain to get to where it needs to be too. And we've talked about this many times too, that any interested party and really coming in and putting big buys into this ecosystem and stuff like that isn't going to want to do it until the wind are at your sails, and the wind basically never came in PulseChain's existence. So we've got Pulse right now at 40113. We have PulseX at, I mean, basically at its previous all-time low, which was back, I don't know, August of 2023 when the SEC stuff first came down. It added a 0, 5 zeros, 8876. We have Inc. at just over 48 cents. Hex at 0017. I'm pretty sure that's exactly where it was at last week.
It was.
I thought so, yeah. And eHex at 306917. So I know you like looking at that fear and greed for Pulse, which you've got at a number 9 right now.
Yeah.
I was wanting you, I forgot I wanted to do it for Bitcoin too and everything, which I think is at 5, just to go back to that. So it's crazy, like fear and greed at all-time lows, which I don't know how much of an actual indicator that is, but insane how low it is right now. So yeah, what do you make of the PulseChain prices here, Ewok? If you want to look at Pulse, I'll let you take it whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, so the fear and greed, it has been hovering. It's been, I think it was at 5 last week. It was very, very low. It's gotten a little higher, but yeah, people are just extremely afraid of exactly what we're talking about. People saying it's over, it's done. The more of that I see, the more bullish I am. That means people are selling out, right? I think the prices though. So let's go to Pulse charts and take a look at the PulseChain chart itself here. Let's share this, and you can see we are on a little steady little climb. It's not much, obviously. We are very, very low as far as all-time low goes, but it is slowly, it rises, it falls a little bit, but we're making higher lows and higher highs. So if this little trend continues, it does look more promising than it has in the past, right? I mean, there's more building here than we have seen. I guess back since what was this? I guess February. Oh wait, these are 15-minute candles. Hang on. Duh. No wonder it looks like that.
Yeah, that there you
go.
I was like, I know and love.
Yeah, that looks more realistic here. All right. Well, either way, we do have a little V bottom here forming anyway. It had 3 green candles 3 days in a row, and then we had a couple pullbacks. So as long as we can keep this little trend going, that looks like the 15-minute chart, we're still on a downtrend. Obviously, we haven't seen anything break through that trend line, which I had drawn on here, and I don't know what happened to it. I think it was because I think I had told you earlier.
One maybe, I don't know if it does it on different views.
No, it keeps it. It does keep it where you and it'll adjust. So yeah, no, it's gone. It's probably, I cleared the cache and everything like that, and it got rid of it. Let's put it back on here just to put it where it belongs, and it'll give us a better view of what's going on. So all right, there we go. Yeah, it did break a little above that trend line, honestly. So that is a positive thing. Again, we're looking for a big reversal, but you got to start somewhere. So that's what I'm seeing with Pulse anyway. It's staying above that. We really need to bounce out of it to start a different trend. But yeah, so
yeah,
that's about it.
Really a long way to go. And again, it's going to be, I think people that are within this ecosystem get tired and annoyed with talking about like, you need Ethereum to go up and everything, as if we or anybody who is saying that we uniquely are reliant on Ethereum. That's not, I mean, everything is, like, all of the altcoins are. I mean, maybe you could say the PulseChain would stand to benefit more long term if Ethereum was ever going to do well again, you know, for an extended period of time.
Right.
But I mean, the altcoin index needs it. I mean, like, we didn't talk about it in the top of the show there. I think we almost got into it, but just with the macro conditions and stuff like that, I know there's so many different strings that people are trying to pull to say, is this going to be the one that finally makes us go up? Whether it is like Kevin Warsh being assigned as the Fed chair, we've got, I just saw actually that the rate cut chance percentages in March have gone up a little bit. So people are starting to expect maybe a rate cut in March. And then probably the most bullish thing that's happened recently, not to completely curse it, but was that business ISM, the PMI reading for the month of January that came out on February 2nd, came in at 52, which was a complete surprise. It was 4 points over the expectation of 48. And the big question is, will that sustain? You know, that's been one of the biggest markers to see people buying risk assets, and it's led to alt seasons in the past. So, but again, we've seen many things like that start to line up, and it's just not happen. And, you know, it's enough. I think all of these things, it's enough to make one kind of go psycho. You know, when you're dedicating so much time and energy into this, you know, pouring money into it and everything, and just waiting for some kind of sign for something to go up. And I guess, like, at the end of the day, if you want the bare bones thing to, if logic appeals to you, it's just like, well, am I going to sell at a loss? Am I going to sell at all-time low territory if you're investing in something that you really believe in? You know what I mean? And
Yep.
logically, it just doesn't make sense. And then I guess what it would also be is like, am I going to sell? And then say to yourself, what are you buying? What's your plan? Like, if you're going to sell, you obviously must have some kind of plan. Are you going to do the flight to safety and buy Bitcoin, which, again, I mean, you're locking in a huge loss on the ratio. What is it you're going to buy? Are you just going to go into stables and assume that everything goes lower? I mean, who knows? You'll probably be right with how everything's been going. But what are you going to do? You know, that's always the thing. Like, when somebody's upset, complaining, whining, maybe they just need to get it out emotionally. But when you actually are thinking about selling, what is your plan? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well, you know, you've probably had times like that, Ewok, in the past. Maybe not so much with like Hex or PulseChain, but just really early in the even more Wild West days of crypto, where it's like, you have to, what would your plan be? You know, are you just upset right now and emotionally reacting to it? Or is there really a plan that you would put into place, and what would that be? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think you just you stick it out. That is the plan. Again, like you said, you don't sell at a loss unless you're done. Unless you're done and you're walking away, what doesn't make sense is to sell at a loss, right? You want to, if you still believe in this stuff, you want to increase your position. There's really, or you give up and you just sit back and you wait. Then the problem is you're miserable until it gets back to where you originally bought in, which could be a lot longer. You know, there are going to be some run-ups here where you can take the opportunity to make a little bit more back earlier than if you just had to wait. So yeah, I mean, either sit on your hands, do nothing, don't look at it until you start to hear things, which I know is tough for people because some people do have a lot of money invested, right? You want to keep an eye on it, you want to keep a pulse of what's going on, but at the same time, it doesn't help mentally to sit there and just stare at charts either. So
No.
yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. And again, back when I first got into crypto, things were a lot more predictable. You know, looking back on it now, it's easier to say than you know, at that point, but knowing that this stuff is the future, and I still believe completely in what we're doing here, and a founder that isn't going to give up. So all you can really do is nothing or DCA. That's, I think those are your two options at this point.
Yeah, I think, and you just captured it perfectly, is what I think as well. I think we talked about this last week, is like, at the end of the day, what is it that you're believing in? And I think it's the Richard Hart ethos, the fact that it looks like a guy that's never going to give up, despite many people saying he has and he's on the run and this and that. I mean, I just think you have to look at people's actions more than anything else. I mean, the guy hired Quinn Emanuel, which is basically an attorney group that's represented like Elon, Trump, all these different things. I can't even imagine the millions that he had to pay them, and beat the SEC in court. Like, not got a settlement, not, came to a deal outside of court, whatever it may be. He actually beat them and got a precedent that literally Ethereum does not even have. So
Yep.
there's all those things working. It's just that prices of any of these risk assets, specifically in crypto, have just been trash for years now. And yeah, it's just a matter of questioning your belief, thinking about what the reason is that you're here. I think the guy, Richard, does continue to innovate. We're going to get to the ProveX stuff here in a moment. I know that people were annoyed by that. Okay, like another sacrifice phase. And of course, it only raises 16 million publicly, which is a very interesting thing that we'll cover. But yeah, it's really just doubling down on, like, I don't think this guy is going to go away. And if you have a better alternative, because like I'll see people in the chat that are shitting on it or shitting on Richard and stuff like that. And if you just emotionally need to get that out, I definitely do understand that. But I guess I want to know what your thesis would be, because there's really no point bitching, whining, complaining if there isn't some other idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or what an alternative would be. Like, at least bring something else, even if it is wrong long term or we would disagree. Bring something else, you know what I mean, to have an idea. So yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is I saw somebody mention it in the chat earlier, the Clarity Act. There's still not a bill signed for that, so I think that also is providing a little hesitation, for a lot of people, because it hasn't been signed yet. There isn't clarity. So while it was the wild, wild west, and it was very easy to buy into those waves, and the retail was very small. The markets were very small. The liquidity was very small. Things were easy to move. Now there's a lot more money in it. It takes a lot more things to fall into place. So that Clarity Act is a big thing that, hopefully they amend it and get it to the point where, yield is available on stable coins, and the banks are just going to have to suck it up and offer people a better interest rate. I think that's the big problem, and I think that's where you're seeing the manipulation come from. I keep going back to that, and they are suppressing it for a reason. They don't want people to realize how much money they're making on interest and yield and things like that, by offering us 0.1% when they're making 3, 4, 5% when they loan out money. So I think they're going to have to that's capitalism, right? I mean, competition breeds good things, and if they want to stay competitive, I think they're gonna have to change the way they do business. And sorry for the lack of $1 million bonuses that these people have been getting in the past, and they're going to have to compete.
Yeah, well said. So that is where we are at with Pulse right now. So a lot of good thoughts there. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Really good stuff from everybody there. So if you're enjoying the stream, do us a favor, hit the like button. We do this every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. We appreciate you guys being here. Let's talk about ProveX. So this was really the big news of the last week. So it was over the weekend that we had this random site pop up. A lot of people on Twitter were latching onto it, sharing it and stuff like that, but very quick to warn, and really as they should. I mean, if people are making up things to be scared of, that's one thing, but it is good to be safe and say, hey, don't be clicking on anything here. Anybody could have done this. We don't know if it's bullshit, whatever. Wait until there's like official word from Richard Hart or something like that, which is, good to be safe like that. And then, of course, I think just hours later or so, we did get this on Sunday from Richard that it is in beta. And we'll look at his post right now. He said people are beta testing app.provex.com. If you do go to that, I would bookmark it and make sure you remember it so you do not ever go to an incorrect ProveX site or anything like that. He says, this is not financial advice. I mean, this is all just disclaimers. I'm not a lawyer, professional of any kind. You must be internally vigilant only to what is legal and moral, blah, blah, blah. Not really anything to add. But yes, app.provex.com, live in beta. I forget, did he have a follow-up post underneath this? I don't know if he had something else. Yeah. Just said if you click the question mark icon in the bottom right, there's a feedback forum. So that's really good for anybody that's messing with it, testing it out. You can submit anything you want to. Do you want to go just to the app real quick there, Ewok? If you feel safe clicking the link from Richard.
I feel safe clicking the link.
Okay. I figured you did. Yeah. Did you want to bring it up? Oh, there you go. There we go. We got it now. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. And honestly, I'm pretty pumped for this. I think this is probably the best creation that he's commissioned since PulseX, I would say. And obviously we haven't seen the reflection in the price of PulseX yet, as we've already discussed for the whole show so far. But in terms of what PulseX is as a DEX and the buy and burn feature, 8-9% of tokens already bought and burned. No other DEX really in crypto does that. I think this is probably the best thing. I think we don't have to do this now, I guess, but between Hex, then PulseX, and then maybe ProveX, I think we're probably looking at some of the best Richard Hart creations here so far. So this giving you the ability to get into PulseChain, get into crypto through many different avenues. Of course, we already had the ZK P2P, which I don't know if you saw this. They just rebranded to just Peer recently.
Yep.
So that's kind of, again, there's been a lot of this kind of horizontal scaling type stuff from Richard, except with ProveX. I mean, first off, it's not a direct rip of Peer, I guess now, but it also has its own token. The ProveX token will obviously be out and be bought and burnt as well. Right. So, I mean, I think this thing looks amazing. I mean, you have the ability to get into the blockchain right away from PayPal. I believe Venmo is in there too, we were discussing.
Yep.
Yeah, you just go straight from there onto the blockchain. I think it was simulating like a 2% fee on here. I don't know if that's what it's going to be. This is beta, so I don't know what it's going to be when it goes live. Will there be a fee? Won't there be a fee? Do you deem the fee to be worth it if, Coinbase isn't holding your funds for a week from you? You don't have to use bridges and things like that. That'll all be up to you. But I think the ability to do this and go straight like from your bank account onto the blockchain is freaking awesome. Again, the ProveX token will be tied to this. There was a sacrifice phase for it that raised about $16.5 million publicly, which is nothing, especially for a Richard Hart project. I mean, it's what 10, 20x less than what was raised for Pulse and PulseX. So
exactly.
Yeah. So what do you make of this? I mean, I think I am really, really stoked about this.
Well, so the one thing that you have to keep in mind is this is peer-to-peer, right? There are not really any fees. You're going based on what liquidity is provided. So if somebody's offering you 98 USDC for $100, that's what they're putting up. So there isn't a fee. Keep that in mind. I saw someone bitching about the cost of the transaction, and there's really no way to control that other than to have somebody put better liquidity pair up, right? So that is one thing you have to keep in mind, that there's no back end fees here. It's essentially what people are offering. So you're going peer to peer. Somebody else is putting up the money or the USDC for you to buy with cash. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I did see somebody bring up the question of risk, right? If by chance somebody uses PayPal or Venmo or whatever and their credit card to do this, is there a risk of having a reversed transaction? So I guess that is one fear for people, and the reason why they are putting a fee up, right? They may want 2 or 3% to cover that risk. So Yeah, just keep that in mind. Again, somebody, I saw a few comments complaining about the charges, and they have to understand that this is a peer-to-peer liquidity provided. If the liquidity is not there, you're not going to get a good deal.
Right.
Somebody could put 50 USDC up there for $100. If you buy into it, you pressed that button. So please keep that in mind when you go around clicking things, to understand why they are what they are. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to make that disclaimer.
Well, let me ask you this kind of bigger overall question as and again, honestly, here's another thing. We speculated, everybody did, about when will the ProveX token be out? When will the product be out? Now, I know this is beta, but so far, here's something we have actually gotten right, Ewok, for the first time in 5 years or so. We expected, well, actually, we expected the token to be out probably by April
First.
or so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and first. Now, again, this isn't live yet, but this is definitely a great sign that we're already getting this. I think we
Yeah.
speculated that as far as this being out, being live, active, maybe by the middle of the year or something. But the fact that we've already got this, I mean, it's even sooner than we thought. So, just what I guess I would ask you, how bullish is this for PulseChain long term and just crypto long term? I mean, I think this is great in terms of getting into crypto, doing it in a more private manner, not using exchanges. As you mentioned, it is peer to peer, so there is that to keep in mind as well. And I think it may just have to be live for a while for people to see, like, what are the benefits of this? Should I do this over going through an exchange? But what do you think this does for PulseChain and then crypto as a whole? Because there are people, oh, exchanges are going to be dead and blah blah blah. I don't. Well, I guess that statement could be true on a longer time horizon. I was just watching a great video by Johnny Chaos from earlier today about like paradigm shifts about, when
Mhm.
flat screen TVs were new, they cost $21,000. Now the same
Yep.
thing costs like $200 and things like that.
Exactly.
So this doesn't mean that, as soon as ProveX goes live, Coinbase goes down offline or something. I don't mean anything like that. But as time goes on, the world gets more and more digital, even though it seems to us like we're going at a snail's pace right now. I don't know. I mean, I think something like this could be absolutely huge as we get into the future, and building that initial infrastructure now is just really big. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's extremely bullish for crypto, and for multiple layers. I can't imagine the things that will be built on top of this as well. From cross chain transactions, things like that. Again, you're relying on the liquidity that's there, right? So those things also take time. Once more liquidity gets built up in here, then this becomes more efficient over time. So it is going to take some time, and I think some trust after it's been up for a while. Richard does come with that stigma with the broader crypto community of being a scammer. So this doesn't change overnight. So I do think that this gives the opportunity for people to take another method who may not want to deal with an exchange, who may not want to KYC and all that good stuff. There are people out there that don't have a bank to tie it to. So, this helps a lot for a lot of people in a lot of different places. I think it's going to be huge. I really do. I think it was very undervalued as far as the token goes. What will that token do other than burn a little bit on every transaction? um I want to see how that's going to be incorporated. I am excited to kind of see how that all plays in, and how it works. Is it another buy and burn? Like, is there a percentage in the background that is a fee for every transaction that does a buy and burn? Like, I'm just curious to see how that all plays
Mhm.
out. As far as I can tell right now, again, this is a peer-to-peer thing, and it's really based on the liquidity that you're getting. So excited. I think it's huge. I think it's huge for all of crypto. Multi-chain, this can be deployed on just about every blockchain that's out there. I think. You know, with obviously some conversion. Now they're not all EVM like PulseChain, like Ethereum. But I thought Base was one of these two. I thought
I believe
that, but I don't see Base here yet anywhere. And maybe this is just because it's beta. I'm not sure. It does show 14 contracts here. There's, I mean, there's all kind of different. This is cool. All the different contracts that are, that are tied to it. So I mean, this very open source, right? I mean, I think there isn't much hidden anywhere that's you know, something to be worried about. So yeah, super excited about where this is going to send. I think this is a launch pad for PulseChain. I think this is going to be a very easy way for more people to get in and get their feet wet. I don't see any negative about this at all right now.
I agree, and I think I'm getting the gist of what Diona Shaman. Sorry, I don't know what it is, but not sure if I have missed something. But could the ETH price not going to hold Pulse back, at least in the short term? The ProveX idea seems fantastic. I don't know. I may just be wrong here, but I think what you're getting at is, you know, because PulseChain and alts and stuff like that haven't been able to go up because of Ethereum, is this ProveX tactic and raising the money now? Again, I might just be taking what you're saying here and making up my own thing, but this is what we've been saying for weeks, is that, you know, the timing of this and Richard Hart doing the sacrifice for this now, maybe he was always going to do it at the end of this cycle, whatever that meant, and then prices of everything didn't go the way anybody expected. Is this maneuver kind of a, you know, well, I can't just sit here idly by with Ethereum never doing anything and do nothing myself? You know what I mean? I have a product that I want to release. It's relevant. It has product market fit. Could doing this sacrifice phase, it being such a low valuation, 16.5 million compared to hundreds of millions for Pulse and PulseX, could this be a way of, you know, I'm not saying like pumping the ecosystem totally on your own. I don't know that that's really possible, but I think something very positive could come out of this because it is such a low valuation. And if it's liquidity bonded again to the other core tokens, which I imagine it will be, what kind of impact could it have, you know?
Well, I think at first it won't be. I think the token will be tied to USD at first. You know, Richard always had brought that up at even when Hex was launched, right? How the price of, when it's tied to another token, you're relying on that other token to do well. When it's as heavy as PulseChain is right now, I don't know that you necessarily want to do that. You want it to be tied to USD, where the buys actually show positive price movement, the sells actually show negative. So you know when people are buying or selling, and not when another token is doing something else. Which, when you do that initially, you could pump the crap out of it, right? It will get eyes. If you want to do something like that from the beginning, I think that's how you do it, right? You get a token that started at an extremely low valuation, and you pump the crap out of it. And here's another Richard Hart token that did a 10,000x. That is another, you know, that is to have two that have done that. It says a lot. Now, maintaining that price performance is another story. Great and all if it does 10,000x and you get out, but when you hold it the whole way back down, which a lot of people did because they were staked, that's, you know, then you end up with another problem like we've got now. So again, it does get eyes, but I think this being multi-chain, you can launch it just about anywhere, is huge. And, you know, it could bring eyes from just about everywhere, which was just great.
Yeah, I think so too. Did you, if it's too long, we don't need to get into it. Did you want to look at that Crypto Solve Dummies Guide to ProveX thing? I think you actually sent it to me. I sent it to you. It was one of the first bookmarks I sent you tonight. I don't know how long this thing is, but
it is long, and I don't know that we want to read through the whole thing. I think we just point to it or maybe even link it somewhere.
Okay.
But it is a very good, thorough overview of what you get here. So let's do this. Let's link it in the chat for people.
Yeah, it's a really comprehensive explanation of what the platform does as a whole, I think. So definitely valuable stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to browse through it here? What do you want to do?
I guess we could. I mean, I don't find some of the other topics we have later all that interesting, honestly.
Not really.
Yeah, so yeah, let's dive in a little bit here. Let's dive deep into this. So, ProveX, a dummy's guide. So, what's the underlying concept? In short, it's a peer-to-peer exchange platform. One party is willing to part with fiat and receive crypto. The other party is willing to sell crypto for fiat, obviously. For you to be able to buy USDC on PulseChain or Base from your fiat source of choice, Venmo, PayPal, someone needs to be willing to sell you their USDC and receive the fiat on that same platform. Unlike a centralized exchange, however, there's no trust required. The only thing between you and the other party is a series of smart contracts. It turns normal payment apps, Venmo, Cash App, Wise, Revolut, into trustless on-off ramps using zero knowledge proof. How does it actually work? Liquidity provider, the seller posts an offer. They lock USDC into a smart contract escrow. The buyer chooses that offer and starts the order. The buyer sends fiat normally, opens Venmo, sends the exact amount, yada, yada. Buyer proves the payment happened without showing personal details, which is key, obviously, using a browser extension called Peer Auth. So that's actually the technology that this is all built on. And then, Richard, of course, first named this thing Mr. Prove, which I'll say prefer it actually to ProveX, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I also work at Burger King, so what are you going to do? The extension securely reads your payment app's web page API. It generates a zero knowledge proof that says a payment of exactly whatever $102 was sent to the seller at that time, date, all that stuff. The buyer submits only the ZK proof to the smart contract. Nothing sensitive goes on chain. No names, no bank numbers, no screenshots, no emails. Smart contract verifies the proof. If valid, automatically releases the locked USDC to the buyer. That's pretty awesome. So that's how that actually works. Now, this is interesting, and this is what you were getting into, is who determines the price and the rate. So this is where things get interesting. It's not like DEX pricing, where bigger orders get worse rates due to AMM pools. You're buying into a specific amount of liquidity provided by a seller at a price they set. You can only buy the amount of USDC that's been made available by the sellers, and those sellers can list it for whatever price they wish. If they want to list 100 USDC for 90 per token, 90 cents, they can. If they want to list 90,000 USDC for $10 a token, they can. It's up to the buyer to determine what they're comfortable to pay. Let's look at a specific example. So you are the buyer, might have $100 in Venmo that you want to use to buy USDC on PulseChain. Another user has the same USDC they want to sell on PulseChain, and in turn, they'll receive the fiat in their Venmo. They've made at least $100 available to buy. The price they're willing to sell that USDC to you is $102. $1.02. This is the quote you see on ProveX. So you would send 100 and you would get just $96.07. So this is kind of like what people were, again, complaining about, like a fee. But again, it's peer-to-peer. So it's not as if the platform is building in a fee or something like that.
Right.
It's not, and I get the wiring like that, because when you're on a DEX, you're looking at slippage and it's like, whoa, what is this? Why am I only getting this much back? Whatever. So they go on to say, if you click the little right arrow on the top right, you'll see more details. Normally, when multiple users are providing liquidity, you'll see a list of quotes that you can choose from. Though it's difficult, it'll default to the best deal. We've included a snapshot of what multiple quotes look like on Peer XYZ, ZKP2P, which is what ProveX is based on. So it'll give you multiple options, it looks like, based on how you want to do the swap. So
here's what it'll look like. Your different quotes for your different prices. Keep in mind, there is an extension, like a Chrome extension or whatever, that you do need to download. I forget it's called the Peer Auth extension that you do have to install. So just keep that part in mind as well.
Yeah. So they say the initial quote on ProveX shows the final value you'll get. It's calculated by 100 USDC divided by 102 per token, 9803, $98.03, 2% fee. Okay, so there is a 2% fee. Is that accurate then? Because they're actually putting that in there as a separate thing.
Okay, then there is a 2% fee.
Okay. All right. So, but I mean, again,
fee structure is subject to change. So,
right. Okay. Yeah, it's still beta, so I'm not entirely sure about that. But we can go down to what determines the seller price, supply and demand. Sellers are competing to offer the best deal so they can get their orders filled. These sellers trying to get ridiculous prices for their tokens are unlikely to ever have their orders filled. On the flip side, those undercutting the market will get orders filled, but they need to be willing to accept lower prices, assuming they intend to on-ramp again to provide more liquidity. They may face costs higher than the rate they're providing is able to offset. It's up to both parties. What if you have a large order? Will it be split? Simply no. If you're trying to make an order larger than the biggest individual seller, liquidity on offer, ProveX simply won't provide you with a quote. So if you have, however much money you're spending, you're putting in that is not covered, it's not going to go over multiple sellers at one time in one transaction.
Right.
That would be almost like an aggregator for this. You know what I mean? To find, okay, well, if you want all this, you got to go through here and go through here. It's not going to be like a Pateus Dex aggregator, essentially. So,
which that's not saying that won't be built, right?
Once I started saying that, I was like, that seems interesting. I wonder if somebody could do something about that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think this is pretty damn long. I'm just trying to see if there's anything.
It is long. So, I mean, well,
no, not really.
Not too bad. We're right here. So.
We'll do the whole thing. Okay. So choice of an on-ramp platform. Trying to choose between Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or something else, you'll find that you're limited by the liquidity someone is willing to provide for each of those platforms. So you may not have as many choices as you thought, which might make the choice easier. Currently on ProveX, you can fulfill orders on Venmo and Zelle because that's where the liquidity has been provided. Want to buy using PayPal? Too bad, unless someone decides to provide liquidity for that route. In the example below, one of the people currently beta testing ProveX has put up liquidity for 5 of the possible routes with $500 of USDC available and will accept individual order sizes between 5 and 350 USDC. You'll see that 401.97 of that USDC is currently locked, waiting buyer proofs. If these aren't provided, the seller can cancel the orders, but only before a proof is submitted. So it sounds like in those cases, the buyer has agreed to buy the 401.97, but they have not gone through with like the peer auth stuff yet. Like they haven't submitted their proofs yet. I guess
that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
okay.
They're waiting for it. So
yeah, and they could pull that at any time probably if the buyer continues to delay it. So interesting.
Well, that's saying like just like anybody that puts liquidity, you can pull it at any time. Unless somebody's trying to buy it, right? At that point, it does lock it, and they will get their transaction. So keeping, you can always put it up and pull it back as you want. I'm sure there will be a fee for that, just like any transaction fee. So you don't want to just keep putting liquidity and pulling it back out. That doesn't make any sense. But you can pull it at any time unless somebody has locked into it to take care of it or to buy it.
Makes sense. Go ahead and you can scroll down. Okay, so they say both buyers and sellers are accepting that there's a need to involve normal fiat providers as part of this process. You might find sellers aren't comfortable with certain platforms like PayPal, either due to KYC requirements, risks of payment reversals, or other reasons. That's interesting. How does the fee work? Okay, so this is the fee. At the moment, the contract dictates a 2% fee. This ends up being swallowed by the buyer as they get 2% less than the exchange rate amount. Initially, a 1% buyer and 1% seller fee was said to apply. We're not sure how this would practically work, as it would potentially require the fiat payment platform like Venmo to set aside 1% somewhere, which it can't do. Even if this were possible, someone would have to own the account the fee gets transferred to and periodically on-ramp the balance to buy and burn the ProveX token. As all fees are automatically collected through the smart contract on chain, the only logical way a fee can apply is to the buyer, though there may be a way to ensure both buyer and seller get a 1% fee rather than all the fees sitting on the buyer. are we here? Buyer fee in the contract dropped to 1%. There's an additional methodology to release a bonus 1% from the seller's balance. This may not be possible with the current contract. So the buyer's basically on the hook. Long story short there. So
yeah, for now.
Yeah, for now. Summary, ProveX is a P2P platform, peer-to-peer, and much like its cousin, peer-peer, ZK P2P, the limitations all lie with how users behave. If people don't want to provide liquidity, there's nothing to buy. Equally, if buyers don't want to pay the prices they're being quoted, the sellers won't sell anything. It's a market in its purest form, supply and demand. So, yeah, pretty comprehensive view, and I mean, I like it. It's basically what you see is what you get. Basically, I mean, what are your thoughts on this breakdown?
Yeah, I mean, I did not know about the 2% fee, so that would be nice. They're trying to figure out a way that the buyer and seller each pay 1% to make it a little more fair. I think they'll get more use out of it that way. Right now, the seller has the advantage, right? So, how many people will, put several $100 or $1,000 up for sale at 98 cents, right? And then keep doing that over and over. You do that enough, you're gonna profit. So I don't see why people wouldn't provide liquidity for this. Again, bigger holders can, they're usually in it for more. The more transactions that run, the better they're doing. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's going to be great. People like the privacy. People, that's one of the bigger things. We're going back to the roots of crypto, right? Avoid middlemen. This is exactly what this does. And Richard's been all about that from the beginning. Look at Hex. It's the only way to have yield without a middleman. So I think this can definitely help the rest of the ecosystem. Once people realize that what it is and what it does, I only see good things out of this. I don't see any negativity unless there's just not good deals. Somebody's going to have to provide good deals, right? I mean, I realize that Coinbase or Kraken or crypto.com, they all take a fee. They all take a little bit. So it has to remain competitive with them, if not a little bit better. Now, the privacy is worth a few extra cents, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can do this without having to worry about someone saying, no, you can't. So, yeah, I mean, I think people will pay a little bit of a premium for that, that feature. So,
yeah, I think so too. I mean, and it also, something that just popped into my mind hearing you speak is, sellers liquidity needing to be provided. And I do wonder maybe in the early going, if some entity that wants this to do well may set some things like that up. You know what I mean? I wonder if maybe there will be plenty of liquidity for what are assumed common on ramp attempts. You know what I mean? I could see something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there will be big entities that are putting, like I said, who wouldn't sell a dollar, or, for $1
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be plenty of people that do that. So, people with enough money that can provide liquidity and make 2 cents on every dollar, it adds up over time. And if you've got enough money to do that with, why not?
Right. Yeah. Plus, you can also, I mean, you don't have to go into stables, right? I mean, you can buy whatever is available. So, I mean, if somebody had Pulse on there or Hex, or if you're going onto a different blockchain or whatever, you can buy whatever is there. It's not like
absolutely
you have to stables,
Yes. And you can go backwards too, right? If people want to offer, the other way around. So you can off ramp as well. This isn't just an on ramp. It works both ways. It's just a matter of people, what they're willing. People are going to be putting money up to buy on the other side. So there's going to be USD there waiting to buy something else. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Super Snake agrees with you. I agree with Ewok. Regardless of the overall market reaction to ProveX, it's a win-win for RH and PulseChain. I mean, yeah, I am with you. I mean, I think this, and again, talking about product market fit, I mean, we had a lot of these quote unquote privacy coins start to pump here earlier this year, like Zcash and things like that.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen how many privacy platforms there really are in crypto that work as intended. You know what I mean? So here's hoping this will be one of them, and it looks like it. So one good thing to look forward to. I mean, look, we are looking for any morsel of positivity right now, and for the beta for this to already be out, something that we were actually right about so far. That we have this coming out a little bit earlier than anticipated, and yeah, we'll see what happens with the token and stuff like that. But exciting things. And if you did sacrifice for it, I mean, whether you did just on your own or like I know you and I, Ewok, participated in the Fiat Fame Buck and Dylan pool, waiting on getting those tokens, which I will say, Hex Girl, I know it wasn't about this, but you just commenting reminded me of this. I think you said this a couple of weeks ago. So you must have read this. So this must be prevalent enough that this is out there because I've heard this from multiple people. If you sacrifice for ProveX by sending whatever your tokens were to the ProveX sacrifice address or however it is that you did it, really, I mean, you either did it that way or you were probably in the pool that Ewok and I were with Buck. But if you just did a regular sacrifice to the sacrifice wallet, there's nothing else that you need to do. Like whenever the token is out, it will be sent to your wallet. There is no NFT that you have to like mint or some other contract you have to sign or something. So do not fall for any of that. I don't know where you would be going to see that. I don't know if like people on Twitter are saying it. I know in Telegram, like there's people DMing and stuff like that. I mean, you don't do anything. The tokens will be airdropped to you. Just like whenever PulseChain came out, if you sacrificed for Pulse and PulseX, they were in your wallet. Like whenever Pulse came out, they're just there. You add the contract address when the time comes and the address and boom, there are your tokens. That's all that happens. So
to reiterate, don't connect to anything.
Right.
So just be careful. Be careful, people. People they're sneaky. I don't know if you saw the guys from Pateus, their post about how somebody was trying to engineer key seed phrase out of them by having them, like, they worked the whole angle. If you haven't checked it out, go to Pateus and their page and read the little story about how somebody tried to social engineer them into downloading a file to look at that was it actually made it through some of their virus checks and everything like that.
Right.
But they had a bad feeling about it, and they were right. It was someone trying to steal their info. So
wow. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, I mean, I think even the smartest, most aware of us can be duped with that kind of thing because they find ways of infiltrating your everyday life and maybe count on you being in a hurry or something like that. And you cannot be too careful. Pocalypse 1590, thank you for the super chat. Community ever staking Hex 5555. So appreciate you.
That's Apocalypse.
Oh yes, it is. I didn't see the at. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know because it's at. Because everybody has an at because that's their name. But yeah, let's go with Apocalypse. That does make sense, but I don't think at is part of the name. You can let us know. I'm gonna say Poco-lips. I like that better.
I'm gonna say Apocalypse.
All right, thanks, Poco-lips. Anyway, very good coverage overall on ProveX. I am excited about it. I don't really want to get way deep into another topic tonight, Ewok, unless there's some burning issue that you want to right now.
No, but we could mention the Old Glory thing. If you want.
Go ahead. Yeah, you go right ahead. So good stuff from Old Glory Bank. I know you and I have been banking with them now for a while, ever since they've had a great relationship with 0x Coast. We've covered a lot with 0x Coast, obviously the on-ramp to PulseChain the last couple of weeks and what's going on with them and their not so stable coin of CST right now, but still easy to get on. If you do have an Old Glory Bank account, you can literally send funds right over to Coast to get on a PulseChain. But Old Glory kind of going rogue and doing some things of their own, which is extremely exciting to see here. I've loved using them since we've had them. But what is this all about, Ewok?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. You get paychecks deposited a couple days early. If you still have a paycheck for direct deposit, you get it 2 days faster, I believe, than your other regular bank. But if you go to their page, go to oldglorybank.com. I'm not going to play this video, but they do give a walkthrough on their new banking kind of platform that is tied to a wallet as well. And you can go basically in and out of crypto with the click of a button. There's a QR code here to deposit right into your checking account. It's pretty cool. Like if you watch this video that they show, it's pretty neat how seamless it is. So if this thing works like they say it will, I mean, I kind of feel bad for the guys at Coast, but it because you may not need the Coast service anymore. So, but yeah, this is a very cool platform that they have. A wallet with your own keys. It is, there is no, it's not like you're logging into Coinbase and keeping your stuff there. There is a private key that you have to your wallet, all that good stuff. And then again, it ties right into the platform that they have on their website that you kind of you can transfer back and forth between. So very cool. PulseChain, it does here. It shows stablecoin, like the things that they're going to use as far as here it was. Popular cryptocurrencies include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Dogecoin, and other coins. And then down here in their FAQ, what rails will be used, and it'll say the initial launch will support ETH, mainnet, Polygon, PulseChain, with the possibility of additional EVM chains. XRP and Bitcoin will be fast followers. So very cool stuff from them. Again, their bank is very crypto friendly. So anybody out there that is looking for a new banking provider that isn't going to give you trouble about crypto, in fact, they're going to make it very seamless to integrate between the two, right? You can have both right in your account, held by your private keys, but a very easy way and seamless way to go back and forth. Very cool. I love what they're doing. I love what they stand for. Good old boys from Kansas or somewhere like that.
Omaha. I think
Omaha.
It's
okay. Nebraska. Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's just, guys that were upset about the regular banking, and I love what they've done. So check them out if you haven't already. I know we've been Old Glory Bank fans forever, and we talk their praises a lot, but it is definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, I can vouch for the early paycheck deposit thing. It's definitely true. I've dealt with their customer service here and there when I've needed to, and they're awesome. I mean, A+ across the board. And the fact that they have PulseChain listed here, I mean, we knew that there was a relationship already, but I mean, that's huge whenever so many people don't want to touch anything that isn't Bitcoin and Ethereum basically right now. And these guys are just, going all in basically with this. So yeah, I cannot say enough good things about Old Glory Bank. So very, very cool stuff from them. So I think that'll pretty much wrap us up for tonight. So, I mean, yeah, long story short, hey, we're just still here. Not going anywhere. We're bloodied and beaten, but waiting around, seeing what this market has to offer, maybe in terms of DCAing, not totally aping into things right now because we don't know. I mean, will there be a bigger leg down? But, I would say cautiously DCAing and things like that still, obviously not selling anything. And again, Crypto 7 said it perfectly earlier on. A couple people did, I think, like, sitting on your hands is definitely a strategy. And sometimes something, usually the thing that works out really well for people in long-term investing instead of moving around, ratio trading, whatever it is. So,
the old famous saying, time in the market will always outplay timing the market.
Yep. Yep, just being here and being the man in the arena, so to speak. So appreciate you guys. Viper Styles, 10 out of 10 stream. Well, we appreciate it. We couldn't do it without any of you guys. So appreciate you. We are here every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Valiant Low Key, Viper Styles, Hex Girl, Mr. I didn't see that name. Philly, of course, Super Snake. Eddie G, I put you on a timeout tonight because you kept saying the same thing in chat over and over and over again. Sunlight, again, Crypto 7. We had, Charles Stone. I didn't recognize him. He was in the chat tonight. We have Bit Finesse checking in, Destroyer, and a whole bunch more. Checks my pulse, DJ Moonboy, of course. Yeah, a lot of people. So really appreciate you guys. Again, we do this every Wednesday.
Hey, real quick, 1 second. Bit Finesse, I don't know if he's still here or not. I think somebody hacked your Twitter account because I got one of those, hey, vote for me on this thing. So I just wanted to make sure you saw that and knew that. Just a heads up. Sorry for ending your closing there, but I thought that was important to let him know.
Well, hopefully you did hear that, Bit Finesse. So, Duke of Booze, thank you very much. Yes, we will be streaming with Duke of Booze this Saturday, actually, at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will make that known when we go on the air, but we have some interesting things going on. Really pumped to be hanging out with Duke. We've been meeting with him here and there on the back channels, so to speak. He's made a couple public appearances, but really happy to see him and speak with him on Saturday. So we'll probably send that link out and everything whenever it happens. So thank you, Duke. We will catch you on Saturday. We will be back again on this stream, obviously, next Wednesday as well. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Burger King Boy Crypto. I have to check in early tomorrow morning. We have I got to get the hash browns going and all that stuff. So I got to check in early tomorrow. So we'll see you guys next week right here on the Creative Crypto. See you guys.
See you guys.
Whopper.